Thank you, Gail. And thank you for your incredible role that you've played in building up this summit and Chicago Blend into the force that it is today. Really appreciate it. So at William Blair, we believe in the power of entrepreneurship to drive innovation and opportunity, which is why 2 years ago we launched our Capital Collective initiative with a focus on increasing access to capital for emerging entrepreneurs. Because we know that who gets funded, who gets visibility, who gets support still is not equitable. And that's why we're proud to be the presenting sponsor today and supporter of Chicago Blend. Events like this matter because they create a space for not just storytelling, but a way for us to be able to connect with one another and for women to not be seen as exceptions, but seen as the future of business. And so thank you for taking the time to be here today. And so now I am very thrilled to be introducing our keynote speaker. Abena Boamah-Acheampong is the founder and CEO of Hanahana Beauty, a consciously clean skincare brand built on radical transparency, ethical sourcing, and care. Abena started her journey as a teacher, someone who believed in investing in others, and she carried that mindset into entrepreneurship. My family is full of happy customers of Hanahana for now 2 years. Just last night, my 3-year-old son came up to me, pointed at his dry skin and said, "Mommy, it's time for some Hanahana." And Abena didn't just build a great product or another beauty company. She actually built a movement, one that uplifts women in Ghana who are part of Shea cooperatives, one that centers mental wellness, one that shows us what it is like to scale with integrity. Her story is powerful, and it's exactly the kind of leadership we need more of. So please join me in welcoming our keynote speaker, Abena Boamah-Acheampong.
Hello. Okay, I'll try that again. Hello. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Nancy. That was so sweet. Also, shout out to your child, because they know. So my name is Abena Boamah. I'm really excited to be here. This is my first keynote of the year. It's crazy because at the beginning of the year, I did a 25 life bingo. Does anyone know about that? Like, you do a bingo at the beginning of the year to say all the things you want to accomplish. And I said I was going to do 5 keynote speaking engagements. And then I got asked to do this, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm really scared. I'm so nervous. But what they say is true. You write it into fruition. You speak it into fruition. And so today, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about the theme that I chose, which is build it anyways, through moments of uncertainty, as well as moving with the level of creativity. Gail kind of took a bit of what I wanted to do, which was know who the audience was, but I still have questions for you all. I want you guys to think of this, if you've ever been in a church, like a call and response. I say something, you laugh, you point, you say, "Oh my goodness, that's so good." That's the vibe that I'm going for today, all right? As I ask things about you, I'm also gonna tell you a little bit about myself too, so we all are quite acquainted. So I am Ghanaian. I was once a teacher. I was also once a therapist. I am the youngest daughter. No, I'm the only daughter and the oldest daughter, but I'm the youngest. So I have a lot of energy. I like to take up space, but I also really like to move with intention. And that has been something that has been a theme within my life and also within my entrepreneurship journey. With intention, I'll tell you a little bit about how Hanahana even started. So imagine I'm a 7th grade teacher. I'm new to Chicago. Like I said, I'm Ghanaian, so this cold weather is not for me, okay? I grew up with shea butter. I knew what shea butter was. But I was talking to one of my students, and I'm 23 at the time. 23, when I learn something, I want my students to know. And one of my favorite students, Brianna Hampton Murph, was eating hot Cheetos, and she wanted to shake my hand. I was like, "Girl, please, don't do that." And she just had those, the little red stains. Yeah. She had the red stains. And I was like, "Brianna, do you know what hot Cheetos are made of?" And she was like, "Miss Boamah, who cares?" And I was like, red dye. She's like, red dye? Like, what is that? And I was just trying to, like, you know, give her before ChatGPT at this time. So Googling it, telling her all the things. And she's like, do you know every single thing that you put on your body? And, you know, I was kind of silent because I didn't. And that same evening, I had went to Walgreens and I was looking at through the ingredients of the products that I usually buy. And I realized I didn't really know what was in the ingredients. At this time, I know it's like inky names. It was the actual scientific names of things, but I didn't know what was in the products that I was using. And being the person that I am, I decided to go back home into my closet where I found balls of shea butter because being Ghanaian, you just have shea butter somewhere under. And I looked on YouTube and I learned how to create my own shea butters. I had no intention of building a business at that time. All I knew is that I didn't want to be ashy. You know, I wanted to make sure I was moisturized. I didn't want any seventh grader to look at my knuckles or my elbows and be like, ooh, Miss Boamah, she be ashy sometimes. And I just started creating products. And with that, I would give it to family, I would give it to friends, and they kept on coming back and asking, like, when are you gonna have more? When are you gonna have more? But I'm a teacher. I'm also like taking photos. I'm also now in my master's program at Loyola. And I did not have shea butter money for everybody. I had shea butter money for myself. And my mom was like, you really should start this. You should do something. I was like, yeah, relax, girl. Then my friends kept on saying it, and my parents kept on saying it. And just people kept asking me to create something. And that was, I started making shea in 2014. It took me some time to launch or even want to launch a brand, but I launched in 2017. And now we're in 2025. And so Hanahana has been a brand that we are creating intentional products for dry, sensitive skin. We work directly with shea butter cooperatives in Ghana, sourcing raw materials, creating access for healthcare. We pay 2 times the asking price. But then at the end of the day, I say this all the time, we want you moisturized. We don't want you ashy. And today, the conversation I'm gonna have is about, I don't want you ashy as you're going through entrepreneurship. I don't want you just, you see what I did there? You like that? Thank you. See, this is the call and response I was asking for, okay? But I want to share with you 5 confessionals or 5 takeaways, maybe 5 questions that I've had to navigate through as an entrepreneur. Now, to make sure that this makes sense, I'm going to ask some quick questions just to actually understand who's in the audience. If I say these things, you know. If I say Nick, what name should come after? Nick and, oh, Olandria? No one's watching Love Island? Okay, wow, okay. You were, and you didn't say anything. Okay, I know the crowd I'm in. Thank you. Okay. Now I know. There are investors in here. Can you raise your hand again? Anyone deploying? Okay, yeah. This was for you guys. I'm helping everyone out here. You gotta know who is deploying money, who is doing these things, ask the hard questions. And then if I also say, this will really let me know who's in the room too. If I say God is good, you'll say, okay, there we go. Thanks, y'all. This is good. So let's get to it, okay? Moving through uncertainty. I think I am a great person to talk about moving through uncertainty. For the last 8 years, I've experienced breakups, I've experienced grief, I've experienced yes to investors, no to investors, a pandemic. I started making shea butter in my kitchen, and somehow, some way, we moved to 500 shelves in Ulta. So there has been ups and downs of uncertainty for sure, in and out of retail. But I want to talk to you about certain things that have helped me approach uncertainty. I won't say with ease, because sometimes it wasn't with ease, but I think with intention. And one of the first things is around shifting my mindset. As the only daughter, the eldest daughter, but the youngest, I've always liked to have control. Being able to control the situation, know what's happening. I never really enjoyed transitions. So one of the big things that I had to shift around my mindset was releasing control and allowing faith to um, play the part that it should. And what that means for me was actually moving with wisdom. So I'm gonna go back to 2022. It's the end of the year. And one thing that you're gonna learn about me is that I love to write things down. I love to start the year with an intention, with a word. And I knew that 2023 was going to be the year that we launched into Ulta Beauty. We had just went through a space of moving from direct to consumer, starting into retail, and now we were gonna be in a big box retailer. Now you have to remember 2017 to 2020, I was making products, living back and forth in Ghana, still doing things in my kitchen. Start of 2020, I was still making products in my kitchen. I had a small team. 2021, we're now growing direct consumer. We've grown year over year 300%. There's been a big shift. And now 2020 had happened and in 2022 had happened. And I was feeling extremely nervous about going into 2023. I had never dreamed of actually being in a big box retailer, but the time was here. I was shifting our production. I was moving my team. My team was getting more excited about things than I was. They're like, oh, we about to make money, y'all. We're going into Ulta. And I just wanted to make sure that things went right. But most importantly, as I was writing down a little prayer, I just was like, I just want peace. Because what 2022 taught me, was that though things were going well, I didn't feel really good inside. A lot of the times when we're moving through levels of uncertainty, we don't really, we move with emotion. You know, we make decisions out of emotions and feelings. And one of the big things about shifting my mindset around releasing control was being able to understand what it moves to move with wisdom, make decisions out of wisdom. And for me, it starts with being in awe of what God is doing. It starts with being in awe of the fact that every day I'm awake, every day I'm doing something. There's sky, there's blue, there's this. And it really had me asking questions to myself of, do you have faith in something beyond your abilities and your belief? Where in your life are you still trying to release control of things? I want you to think of those questions for yourself, because when it comes down to growing a business, one thing that is certain is that there's going to be ups and downs. There's a lot of things that we cannot control. And a lot of the times when we feel like we're in control and we're not, that's when there starts to be this intense feeling between us, and it reflects within your own team. And so that was something that was really big for me, because going into 2023, I'm happy I had that little prayer because it was hard. Launching into Ulta was exciting and looked really great. However, what I thought was going to happen and the next steps did not happen in the way it was. So it leads me to my next theme. Never let the timeline, your timeline, a timeline, dictate your purpose or your vision. We live in a world that is obsessed with timelines, deadlines, and benchmarks. But one thing we have to remember is that purpose does not expire. Your vision does not always follow a linear path. And I like to rephrase delays more as redirection, and the fact that I don't have to be afraid to pivot. We're at a summit that's called Redo. You should be able to be in a space where you can relaunch, rebrand, reset, reapproach things. Understanding that your vision is always evolving and purpose is eternal. 2023 taught me that I needed to have a reset, but I didn't know what that reset looked like. I thought that I was going to start 2024 off just big. We're now in Ulta. All these investors that said, let me see you after a year in Ulta, was going to give me their money. And we started the year 2024 winning $200,000. I won the 15% Achievement Award during Black History Month. Like, come on, that's crazy. But it was great. I started the year feeling excited, and 2024 was a big reset year for me. Not the reset that I thought. The reset that came into 2024 was resetting my team, releasing my entire team, resetting my approach to how I worked, being able to have an understanding of what it looked like for me to be a leader, as well as just the child that I am to my parents, a friend. It was a big reset, and I'm not gonna lie, I did a lot of hard things. And I did it scared a lot of the times too. But one of the things about the reset was that it allowed me to realize that I am not my brand, and my brand is not my entire identity. Who are founders here? Can you guys raise your hand? Okay. Now I'm gonna have you look to your neighbor. Yeah? Be like, I am not my brand. Period. There you go. There you go. There you go. And my brand is not my whole identity. Can you guys say that? You're like, that one's hard. That's a hard one to say. Hanahana is a founder-facing brand. It's very hard to separate yourself from the brand. But I had to, because I started to hate my brand. People loved the brand. People were telling me all the time, but it was so hard that I actually realized I was not enjoying what it looked like to be an entrepreneur. I had to face the hard truths. I had to go to my investors and let them know that I was struggling running the business. And I'm so happy that I moved with a level of vulnerability and honesty with my investors, because they then gave me a CEO coach. They actually invested in me as a person, because I told them I needed someone that would only be thinking about me and not the outcome of the brand. And if you guys ever look for a CEO coach, Sonali's amazing. But Sonali and I had to navigate a lot of things together. And one of the biggest things that I realized was that though impact is extremely important, I had started to idolize it. For years, I had tied my success to how much we were doing, how much money we were giving to our shea cooperatives, how we were doing it in the community, who we were hiring, making sure that every single person was paid, people were getting paid more, all the things. I had turned into a people pleaser in my own business. And I had, as much as I was focusing on sustainability and making responsible decisions, I had deprioritized my own sustainability. I had to realize that my purpose is actually bigger than my business. I had to go back to the fact of understanding what my purpose was, and if my business were to drop, would I continue to move with purpose? It's hard for anyone to come to that reckoning that something that they've always loved doing, that they didn't like it. But one thing Sonali told me was that sometimes I don't even like my own kids, and that's okay. And I don't like my business sometimes. But it's to fall back in love with it, you know, to move in a way that creates intention. And for me, the reset that I did in 2024 was not just about team, was about the vision of Hanahana, and was also about our values. Did my values align with the values of my brand? And if it didn't, how could I make sure that it was? It was really easy to, because at that time it was just me and Tahiti. So I was like, this is the value. She said, okay, this is not the value. Okay, it's perfect. But I had to live by these values. And one of the big values that we have at Hanahana is quality over quantity. This applies to your community, the people you're around, your products, and about how you spend your time. Remembering not to chase fast growth, but to create time for the things that you need to do to grow. Chasing real value. Now, a question I have: who has done the artist way? Who has attempted the artist way? Okay, there we go. Yeah. I'm on week 10. Okay. And if you haven't done the artist way, I know I'm getting there. Thank you. I love that. Wow. Thank you. The Artist Way is a book that challenges you to do morning pages every day, 3 pages of just writing. anything right when you wake up. And then also it challenges you not to just look at how you approach creativity now, but how you've approached it all throughout your life. What are the blockages? What are the things that are coming up for you? And within the artist way, as I was thinking of quality over quantity, I remembered what they talked about of crazy makers. Crazy makers, simply said, are people that thrive in chaos and pull others into it. So it makes everything about them. They ignore people's time, space, and boundaries. And the thing about a crazy maker, it derails progress because they lead with reaction over leading with empathy and discernment. When I read that definition, I first started to think of all the crazy makers in my life, but then the finger, when you start pointing, it started pointing back at me. Have I been a crazy maker in my entrepreneurship journey? And how do I shift that approach? I hope as I've been going through this, you're like, wow, okay, I got to think about a lot of things. But I want to end on a good note. There's been a lot of growth that I've had, but one thing that I've had to realize through entrepreneurship is that no one will prioritize your peace and your joy like you should. Don't be casual or nonchalant about your peace and joy. Move with intention. Be chalant. Today, you're in a room with so many people, right? We have investors, we have founders, we have people that have ideations, we have people that have read all of The Artist's Way. That means they did a lot of morning pages, okay? We have people that watch Love Island and don't want to tell, but I'm watching it with you, girl. I'm rooting for Nick and Alondria. I want you to prioritize your growth as well as your peace. You have to remember your title may change, but your purpose will not. So don't be chalant. Don't be chalant about your growth. Don't be chalant about your creativity, your faith, your purpose, and your vision. Today, you have the opportunity to speak to so many different types of people here. Don't be chalant about what you're building, what you're doing, what you're looking for. If there's one thing I've learned through entrepreneurship, through the ups and downs and all the uncertainties, is that when I prioritize my peace and growth and move in a space of wisdom, the outcome is always good. Thank you.